A sad, sad journey. Hardly had the Ishmaelites' caravan disappeared in the gathering dusk before Reuben returned to the pit to set Joseph free. Imagine how shocked he was to discover that the boy was no longer there. Finding his brothers, he said in the Lord, "The child is not, and I, whither shall I go?" He couldn't bear the thought of facing his father without Joseph. It would break the old man's heart, and he simply couldn't tell that they had all been mean and cruel enough to sell him as a slave. Then someone suggested a way out. Jacob must be told a lie, that Joseph had been killed by some wild animal. To make the story seem true, they took Joseph's coat of many colors and dipped it in the blood of an animal and carried it to Jacob. "This have we found," they said. "Know not whether it be thy son's coat or no." Jacob knew it, of course. No one but Joseph had ever owned a coat like that. "It is my son's coat," he said with a sob. "An evil beast hath devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces." So Jacob, who had deceived his father, was now deceived by his own sons. And Jacob mourned for his son many days. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him. But he refused to be comforted. And he said, "For I will go down into the grave unto my son mourning." Thus his father wept for him. How those brothers should have tried to comfort their poor old father without once telling him the truth is more than I can imagine. And yet they dare not tell the truth, and yet they dare not tell what they had done. If they had, their father's anger against them might have known no bounds. Meanwhile, poor Joseph, sad, weary, and homesick, was on his way to Egypt. To think of it, only 17, and sold as a slave. As he trudged along the dusty trail with his Ishmaelite masters, many a tear must have run down his cheeks. Why, oh why, had all this evil come upon him, he wondered. Why had his brothers been so cruel to him? Why had they let him be taken away by strangers like this? Why hadn't anyone come to his rescue? As evening fell on that first night away from home, he must have felt terribly lonely. He couldn't help thinking about his comfortable bed at home, his pets, and all the things the boy cherished for most. And then he must have thought of his father, and his precious little brother Benjamin, and his mother who had died. That made him cry again. What a sad, sad journey it was. For the nearer the caravan came to Egypt, the farther it got from home. Over and over again, Joseph must have thought that he would never see his home anymore. Many times he must have worried about what would happen to him in the foreign land to which he was being taken. That he would soon be sold to someone else, he was sure, but to whom? It might be to somebody very harsh and cruel, who would make his life miserable. And then he thought of God, his father's God, and though the Bible doesn't actually say so, we may be sure he prayed many times that God would look after him and somehow help him to find his loved ones again someday. We may be sure, too, that God was watching over this dear boy, just as he watches over every boy and girl who loves and trusts him. In his providence, this sad journey into slavery was the best thing that could have happened to Joseph. Though the boy did not understand it at the time, God was using his brother's kindness to lead him to a great future, which otherwise he would never have known. God often does that, bringing great blessing and happiness out of something that for a while seems very hard to bear. He loves to lead his trusting children out of darkness into light. And so Joseph came into Egypt, gazing wide-eyed at its great cities, its huge temples, its mighty pyramids, its mysterious sphinx, and all the throngs of strange-looking people. Never for a moment did he dream that someday he would be ruler of all this wonderful country.